r/AskReddit. What screams I peaked in high school? Getting the score of the football game you won against the school's rival tattooed on your shoulder. Some of the popular girls from high school still get together very frequently, and you see updates of it on Facebook. I also keep in touch with some friends from high school, and I think that that's nice. However, one of those friends of mine once ran into them during one of their get-together. He said hi and happened to be sitting not too far from them at the bar. He said that all they did for the whole night was talk about high school. They looked up old classmates on Facebook, laughed at them, called them names, looked at their spouses and called them names too. They still thought themselves the popular kids, as if they still had some sort of influence on all these people. Everyone has moved on, done interesting things in their life except for them. They are just rehashing old drama and old rumors. One of those girls had a small bit of success as a photographer in high school. She won a couple contests that were aimed at teenagers and her photos aren't bad. Her parents turned this into a very big deal. Her friends all wanted to be in her photos, and she was dead set on going to art school and getting the recognition she deserved. I don't know if she never made it into art school or if she dropped out, but she definitely did not become a photographer. Instead, you see her launching some new startup business selling asinine live laugh about once a year. We used to play indoor floor hockey in a loft room in the big gym of my middle school. One game I scored 3 goals, one of them being a bank shot off the wall. The next year I wrote about the game for an assignment in English class and the teacher read it to the class the next day. I'm not sure which one was my peak. As someone who recently graduated, the students who returned to the school every time they came home from school just so people would pay attention to them. Also not sure how to explain it, but the people who now posts blank screens and just text on their Snapchat stories that just say things like always crazy to see who you can really trust when this happens or surprising to see who really cares about you when you need friends the most. Like I said, I don't know how to explain it, but there's definitely a correlation. I taught at HS in the US for exactly 1 year. During that year some guy who had graduated a year or so prior came back to visit about 3 or 4 times. This douche just rolled into the school and would pop into classes to say hi to teachers and students in the middle of lessons. I have no idea why, but for some reason he was walking around barefoot too. He tried that in my class and I asked him promptly to leave, to which he said to me, "Oh, you're new here and don't understand that I'm sort of a legend around here, so people like to see me come by." Yeah, I kicked the legend out and promptly advised my students to move on with their lives after they were finished with high school. I knew a girl in college who tried to do the same crap as the other guy I just mentioned, but her old school wouldn't allow her and her friends to even enter the building. She was really pissed about it and commented, "How can they do that? We ran that school." That was the saddest thing I had ever heard someone say. The class that graduated before me had their 10-year reunion last year and apparently a big fight broke out over something that happened when they were all still in high school. I guess that is one way to tell if someone peaked in high school. Pretty embarrassing. When I was in high school, the cool kids partied hard. They'd get blackout drunk and used whatever illegal substances they can get. I was looking through the profiles of some of those classmates and a few of them are still doing the same shit. Talking gangsta shit despite growing up in a middle-class suburb. Talking about how they miss their kids who are in CPS custody because they went to jail for using. Going on rants about narcs, etc. They are about 27 or 28. What made you cool in high school makes you a loser as a grown-ass adult, especially when you're a parent. I went to school with a girl whose parents graduated from our high school 20 years prior. All 4 members of their family got the school's logo tattooed. Her boyfriend still goes to the football games and reposts his game highlights on Instagram. We're all 21-22. I'm from New Mexico and live in the largest city in the state. We've never had a good HS football team and the BF usually goes to pick up underage girls and brags to everyone about how he was the star football player. If someone from another team makes a really good play, he'll make some kind of remark about how he could have done it better, or he'll go into a detail about his JV football experience. 1. Still wearing your Letterman jacket and class ring in your 30s. 2. Talking about high school sports games from a different decade as if they meant something. 3. Still living in your hometown and looking forward to that night at the bar just before Thanksgiving when everyone who left comes home, so you can talk about high school stuff to people who have grown up and have real lives now. A guy graduated 2 years before me, in 2006. He got a job as a school narc my senior year, basically a job that is somewhere below security, and barely a step above student. We had our 10-year reunion last year in the school gymnasium, and there he was, with his sunglasses on at 8 p.m., sporting a sweet Flavor Saver and Dickies shorts, with his black socks pulled up to his knees, as was the fashion for all the bros at my high school when we attended. He was making his rounds, trying to enforce every single rule that was imposed on students. Meanwhile, we are all 27-29 years old, and nobody is taking his. Eventually someone told him, "You were a tool in high school, and nothing has changed. Get lost, narc." He then started listing every girl he boned in high school. It was hard watching that guy spiral so hard while everyone was laughing at him. Edit. A Flavor Saver is a nickname we give for the patch of hair that grows directly under your bottom lip. It's a flavor saver because when you go down on a woman, the juice gets in there and you can taste it later. It's just a joke we'd say cause it was very popular amongst the bro crowd in high school, basically a guy who tries really hard to be a hardass, because they couldn't grow beards or moustaches but could attain one of those. A football coach at my high school held a record as a linebacker for when he was in high school in the 80s. One kid a few years ago on the first string varsity team came 30 yards away from breaking that record, and the coach promptly took him out of the game and kept him out for the rest of the season. Only one game left at that point, so no one could break his record from 30 years ago. One of the few good things, maybe the only good thing, about the UK's usually education system is that hardly anyone, except those who have had an expensive private education, gives a about their old school. No loyalty to the old school. Sports loyalty when at school was practically non-existent. No one, apart from those on the teams, usually gave a about how the sports teams did. No yearbooks, no jackets, no proms. At least when I went to school, that aberration seems to be creeping in now. No one gives a. School reunions are rare if a thing at all here. I still know and see a few of my classmates or ones who were at school when I was there, but only because they still live locally and it's not that big a place. The others I have no idea where they are, how they are, even if they are still alive, and with maybe 2 or 3 exceptions, have no great wish to find out. Never advancing your life past the moment when you graduate. I have a cousin who still lives with his parents, has had the same job he had since junior year, and has done all with his life. Alternatively, I have a cousin the same age still living with his mom, but he's going to college and taking care of his grandmother. I think he wants to make it as a concept artist, but he's working on a fallback degree before he makes the big leap. Huge difference. When you meet the love of your life in late middle school but try dating towards the end of junior year, she becomes your best friend and helps you graduate and figure out what you want to be and what you should do. Then after you graduate you mutually discuss getting married and it all lines up, but then she falls sick within 8 months of leaving high school and dies within a week of falling ill on her 19th birthday. So you're left knowing the happiest you've ever been is past you and you aren't even 20. Your only friends are from high school. You tell your college grad older brother, yes, you got a math heavy degree, but in high school I took algebra 2 and you took geometry like everyone else looking for the easy path. Says to older brother everyone looked down on you in high school. Gets pissed when older brother says you are 38. You graduated 20 years ago. Please tell me you have something to be proud of from the past 2 decades. I worked at a fast food restaurant. I saw people daily and normally forgot their conversations, but there are always those few who stick. Here's one. The dude walks up to the worker on the left of me with 3 other guys and is talking to his friends about how he hasn't paid rent yet and he's having it held over his head, but he knows he's going to get manager at the movie theater he works at, but his bosses just don't like him. This guy looks like he's in his early 30s, possibly late 20s, definitely at least 28. The worst part of this story is when his other friend butts in and says, is it really paying rent when you're just paying your mom to stay at her house? I am no expert, but I can tell he didn't know whether to be sad or angry about what his friend said. He was also probably trying to hide the fact that he still lived with his mom from his other friends. I just realized that as I type this. Edit. Him living with his mother is a detail of the story, not why it's mainly a peaking story. I don't think that living with your parents at his age is bad. My sisters have done it to get through jobs. I get that. I thought it's still a good story and maybe later on a turnaround story. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, drop a like and subscribe. Please check out more of our videos or our playlist. It is perfect for when you want background noise or to put on when you are falling asleep. Once again, thank you and have a great day.